Even after she lost a lot of weight, her belly still jutted out.
I can't believe after trying all this, I still looked like I'm pregnant.
That's my co-coach Lucy, who used to fall for every single belly fat burning myth under the sun until finally filtering out the lies from the truth and truly re-sculpted her body for good. How? Probably not how you think. As a kid, Lucy was seen as chubby for her size, and her family frequently reminded her of this fact with lighthearted teasing. While it was said in jest, to Lucy, it was shameful. She didn't feel like it was a joke, and she felt embarrassed about her size. A feeling that kept surfacing when she couldn't keep up with friends on hikes, when she had to shop in the bigger size clothing section than her friends, when she was made fun of at school, even if it wasn't directly about her weight. Well-meaning family members recommended ab exercises like crunches. While they made her abs sore, so she felt like she was making progress, she still went up in pant size year after year. Then she tried various belly fat burning concoctions marketed at the time, which at best did nothing, and at worst simply increased the number of runs to the bathroom. At this point, she started to finally doubt that she could really spot reduce belly fat.
The truth is, I had already suspected that spot reduction was impossible, but I wanted to believe there was a shortcut so much that I ended up fooling myself, thus ironically prolonging my suffering for years. It was only when I ran out of tricks that I had to face reality.
She finally looked up the one thing that she'd been afraid to confirm this whole time, and the research was clear. The truth is, you cannot spot reduce belly fat. Everyone comes in different shapes, and women especially have variations in where their bodies like to hold on to fat. For some, it's the chest. For others, it's the tummy or butt. You can't force your body to only lose fat from a certain area, but you can try to lose fat all over, and eventually you lose it from the belly too.
I decided I just needed to trust the process and be patient.
But wait, there's a catch, which Lucy found out only after getting close to her goal weight. See, despite doing it the slow and steady way to lose fat overall, she realized she still didn't like what she saw in the mirror.
At this point, I had been trying to lose weight for almost a decade now. I tried being patient about it. Yes, my pant sizes did get smaller over time, but I still looked pregnant, and that killed me.
The problem is, even though she was losing fat from all over her body, her overall body shape still stayed the same, so her belly still jutted out. Screw patience, she thought, and jumped right back on the quick fix wagon. This time, she tried to force her body into shape by using body wraps and waist training corsets.
Okay, keep in mind that at this point, I was desperate. I accepted that I couldn't spot reduce belly fat through exercise, but those promoting waist training with corsets claimed you can redistribute your fat elsewhere if you keep forcing the fat out of your belly by wrapping it up. So I thought this wasn't spot reducing, just moving fat around. And at the time, it made sense to me.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't work that way. You can't permanently redistribute your fat by manually pushing it around. If Lucy really wanted to stick to this method for reducing the appearance of belly fat, she'd need to wear a corset for the rest of her life. Luckily, she didn't stick with it for long. First of all, it felt uncomfortable to wear a corset 8 to 16 hours a day.
And every time someone gave me a hug and felt my corset, I can tell that they were thinking, what the hell is this girl wearing? And that made me feel so embarrassed that I didn't even want to touch people.
But this experience helped finally lead her to try the one thing that actually got her from here to here. One of the waist training manuals recommended adding a small amount of strength training to ensure your core doesn't weaken while you're basically suffocating it. And this was exactly what she needed to try.
Obviously, I heard of strength training before, but I always read that it was something people did to get bigger, not smaller. And luckily at this point, it was the year 2014 and strength training had started to catch on more in popularity. So there was a lot more information on the internet about the long-term beneficial effects of training that wasn't just all about building muscle. I read that it could also help with fat loss by speeding up your metabolism amongst other health benefits, so I decided to give it a try.
Now wait. You might say, I thought you said earlier you can't spot reduce fat from exercise. Aren't you contradicting yourself? Let me clarify. You can't spot reduce through fat loss, but you can create the illusion of spot reduction using techniques that bodybuilders have used for decades. First, there's a slower, more sustainable way that can last you a lifetime. Then there's a faster, more temporary way that can get you results like these overnight. And no, it has nothing to do with Photoshop or surgery. As you'll soon see, Lucy took the slower approach. But just out of curiosity, I wanted to test if it's possible to get results like these using the faster approach too. And if you've ever scrolled through Instagram wondering why you look different from other people at your same body fat percentage like I did, you'll know why when I reveal my findings on my experiment after we continue Lucy's story.
After figuring out how to strength train properly, I did stick with it for well over a year. At this point, I had actually completely given up on my belly fat. I discovered I actually love strength training, and it was simply enjoying the process of getting stronger that I didn't really care about belly fat anymore. But one day, after a year of strength training, I noticed something shocking in the mirror.
For the first time in her life, she saw abs and flat belly. How did this happen if spot reduction is impossible? First, building muscle made the outline of musculature show up on her body. When she didn't have as much muscle, there was nothing to show. Second, having enough muscle will more evenly distribute the fat that's between your muscle and your skin. That's what gets you that tight look. That's what minimizes all the squishiness between muscle and fat. So while she still had belly fat, it didn't look as squishy with extra muscle underneath. Of course, this tightening up effect only happens if you've already lost enough fat overall to be fairly lean first. Otherwise, your musculature won't show through the fat. So she still had to start with overall fat loss first. The level of leanness varies from person to person, but in general, about 10 to 12% body fat for men and 20 to 22% body fat for women is when they can start noticing changes like this. And if you're interested in learning how muscles can help change body shape, subscribe for future videos on this topic. And last but not least, strength training made a huge impact on improving Lucy's posture, as it strengthened her back muscles to rebalance her weight more evenly, which further gave illusion of a flatter stomach. This is what I meant earlier by creating the illusion of spot reduction.
Further, as I developed my shoulders, chest, and glutes more, I also created the illusion of a smaller waist and a more hourglass shape. Not by losing more fat, but by making the areas around it bigger. Despite focusing on just building muscle during this time, I actually ended up looking leaner than before. I didn't feel fat nor skinny. I felt healthy. I felt fit.
While this took Lucy a long time to achieve this result, I won't lie, there is a faster way. Remember earlier when I said I tried to reduce my belly fat appearance overnight? Well, here are the results of the experiment. See, this picture was taken at the end of the day after I had eaten a big high-carb meal and felt a bit bloated. And this picture was taken at the beginning of the day after I had gone to the bathroom and before eating or drinking anything. I also stood up straighter so my posture was better. That's it. This is how much of a difference simple food weight, bloating, and posture can make. And bodybuilders and fitness models know how to do this, and they do this all the time in a before and after photo shoot. Now, the version they do may involve reducing carb and water days before the show, not just overnight, essentially putting their body in a partially depleted and dehydrated state to remove all excess water weight and bloating. But the principle is still the same. It's water weight manipulation, and it's meant to be only temporary. Everyone needs to hear this, because if you're comparing your average day photos to someone else's best day photos and wondering why you don't look like them despite having the same body fat percentage, this is why. You're not seeing the truth of what they look like day to day. But here's the secret. You can use this knowledge to your advantage, because knowing this gives you peace and autonomy over how to sculpt your body. Whether you pick slow and sustainable approach or the fast and temporary approach, you are in control of how to sculpt your own body, and the best hidden gem in all of this, you now understand why others look the way they do and have predictability over what you can expect from yourself. But one big warning. Trying to get too lean towards impossible standards is a recipe for disaster, because not every look is realistic for everything. If you don't know what's even possible, you'll waste years of your life on a hamster wheel. Perhaps you already have. So, two things. One, if you want a tried and tested, proven system that teaches you how to assess what's realistic for you and how to achieve that healthily, then check out the free sneak peek into my Badass Body Boss program in the comments and descriptions below. Or if you want to DIY it, then you don't want to ignore this video where I go over the real trade-offs of getting lean so you can make an informed decision on what works best for you and start setting yourself up for fat loss success today without spinning your wheels anymore. So don't miss this video. And as always, you can do it.